Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine. Joining me on the panel today, Brian and, hey, Mr. Bullwinkle. We all know him as Bronk, and Mr. Celery. Woo-hoo! Celebrating, of course, a Browns victory. Today, we'll be talking about that game and some things that I wanted to go over that are, always of interest. I think everybody's happy the team won. And I think they're all pissed off at me for not doing a post-game show. Hey, Doggy Bones, how you doing? But I wasn't going to stay up until after midnight and do all that. It wasn't that good a win. Let's be honest about it. We gave up 30 points to the Bengals. But there is good news in all of this and things that I can share that it's always interesting. One thing I wanted to do, and I want to see if I can pull this up. I had an interesting video of something that now I'm not finding it. Isn't that a bummer? Maybe this is it. Yes. Okay, good. And what I'm going to do here is try to use the share feature on StreamYard, which I don't usually do. But we're going to try this because the interception by Baker Mayfield is being talked about. How did this happen? All right. I'm going to go ahead and try to go to my Chrome tab, and the Chrome tab is this one here. Okay. And here we go. And I'm going to bring this. Are you seeing that full screen now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, this is the play from its beginning, and I'm going to do a little stop action here. As the play begins, what we're seeing is the play action, which is, directing the defense, influencing the defense to go along with Nick Chubb. And what we're seeing below, and I'll do this with my pointer, this right here is KhaDarel Hodge. And the idea is that he's running across the field into the flat on the right side. All right. This will become important later to a degree. All right. What I have the ability to do now is to just literally manually go through this. And now you're seeing the linebacker coming up on Baker Mayfield. He's not buying this. So there's Hodge going out into the flat, pass protection here, and already, and we're going to be kind of scrubbing going back and forth. What we're waiting to see is the tight end going down the field. All right, so there he is right here, and this is the rookie, Harrison Bryant. And
okay, can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
The player that's standing next to the 20-yard line marker is actually the guy that was supposed to be covering Hodge.
Right. All right.
And so that's why he's able to just dump into coverage.
Exactly. This is what you're going to see as the play develops, is where KhaDarel Hodge is going serves no good purpose in this play. All right. And you'll see him continue to move onward. I'm sorry that there's this, but I'm spastic. The defensive end hasn't bitten at this point, and now it's up to Baker to step up into what else is a clean pocket, all right? And again, here's Hodge, and somebody is on Hodge coming up on him now. And if you were going to do something short, this is what you would have done. As you can see, it's a 2nd and 4 play. We were running the ball down their throat, and now all of a sudden it's time to throw the ball down the field. So Baker's going to step up. He's going to elude the pass rush from the defensive end, and now he's looking downfield. Now, Hodge is no longer open, of course, and there's really, at this point, one place that he's looking, and that's going to be to Harrison Bryant downfield. Now, you're seeing the ball in the air. If you're not, there's the ball. And as it makes its way, here is the critical part. This guy, I don't know, he's covering something that isn't there, all right? but
he was reacting to the run action.
Right. I mean, and he's late back in the play. So really, it's right here, the safety. The way the pattern is thrown and the way it's run is going to be the real critical issue here. When we get a little closer to the ball ending up in the hands of the Bengal right there, Harrison Bryant is past the point of where he could make any defensive play to stop this from happening, and a secondary defender is here. The point being this: if he runs the pattern deeper, all right, if you take Harrison Bryant going this way rather than going across, as he is, he's kind of going across the field. And this screws the play up, for one thing, because it allows a direct line by the safety into the interception. The other thing is a rookie receiver and a third-year quarterback.
No, I think this guy is the other cornerback.
Oh, is this the other cornerback?
This is the guy that was standing on the 20-yard line.
Okay. All right.
So he was able to retreat and double cover the deep threat, because Hodge broke and went out to the flat.
Right. And so the fact that Hodge went in that direction, totally, from a play design perspective, I don't understand, because you want this part of the field to just be these two guys, not three guys. All right.
Well, that play design is actually for Natson to get the ball on a sweep.
Certainly not what happened.
But, no.
Yeah.
So it's a variation of that formation. But
so once again, if Bryant runs the pattern deeper out this way and there's more air under the ball, there's no way this defender, taking the angle that he's taking, would have a chance at making a play on the ball, because he is coming straight across this way.
The other thing is, before he had to evade the defensive end, Hooper was wide open. But because after he evaded, it gave that defensive lineman time to come over and be able to swat the ball in front of Hooper. So that's why he didn't go to 81.
Right.
For the first down.
So, and there you have the rest of the play. So the real question is, at that point in the game, we're up 28-16, a very important part of the game. And I'm going to get out of this share mode right now. And we're up 28-16. A touchdown there literally ends the game, literally ends it. The problem is that we had run the ball so successfully, and it turns out the next time we got the ball, we just ran right over them, that it seemed like an odd thing to throw, in essence, a deep curl down the middle when you could use clock and get the yardage that you needed. People are calling out Baker Mayfield for having thrown the ball. The play design isn't the best, in my opinion, and you are supposed to throw the ball where nobody can get to it but the wide receiver, or in this case, tight end. And Harrison Bryant, the ball seems to be really a little bit behind him and thrown on a flat plane, and that's not real good. That's the negative, all right? That's the thing that people are pointing to as the only negative from Baker Mayfield in the game. So that's, it's one interception, and in my mind, Harrison Bryant is really running in an open seam, but the ball is late getting there, and it is slightly behind him, and it's thrown flat. I see that D-Bag is, Doggy Bones is saying, Jedrick Wills really played a good game. And, there were some other little kinds of things that, that I have here that and these I can't manually control. So, and I can't really big them up on the screen. So you'll you need to accept my apology on this. But when we're sharing video, you take what you can get. What you're seeing here is a play that you'll remember in the course of the game, and this is a cream hunt run. But keep your eye on number 71, just rumbling, stumbling, bumbling down, look, just running people over. He is a human wrecking ball, and look how he's pulling and getting out there and really driving forward. Jedrick Wills, at this point in his career, the concern is his pass rush protection, as opposed to his blocking with the run. And you can see he's a load.
While we're on the tackles, I
Yes.
did have Hubbard playing in the game. I did not have him playing on the right side. I didn't know about Conklin.
Conklin has showed up, hurting, and they don't want to take a chance on him. But, the thing that's interesting, and there's a number of plays here of examples of the Browns that were running, and that's the play we just saw. You can see that Jedrick Wills just plowed into everybody. Some interesting statistics in this particular article is just saying, that Cincinnati was lousy against the run when they played the Chargers, and they gave up a lot of yardage to the left. And the Browns ran really well, running to the left also. And, if you're looking at numbers like 6.5 yards per carry over the left tackle, 16.3 yard averages over the left guard, and then you're down to under like 4.5 and 0.5 yards over the right guard, you can see that Conklin is an important link in this team. And, Hubbard didn't make any horrible flubberds, but he clearly isn't the best guy at the position. Here's another example. This is running right. And you remember this. This is Nick Chubb plowing into the end zone. But you take a look at Janovich, number 31, if you can look very closely. And, and there is Andy right here. And look at how he attacks the second level and stays with the linebacker. The idea here is if Nick Chubb can break tackles, which he does, he's going to get to that second layer, that second level, and guys are continuing to finish blocks down the field, and that's why you're getting longer runs from scrimmage. And again, the circle there is Harrison Bryant also taking on and turning the defensive end outside. That's running on the right side of the line. I think that here's the draw play. That Chubb broke slightly to the right. And again, this is kind of a deception play because of all the play action that they were utilizing. And you can see again, you got Shredder out there, and somebody help me with number 77.
That's Wyatt Teller.
That's right. Well, very good. Thank you. And he actually, with the exception of one motion penalty, played a pretty solid game. So,
and he got caught on that ticky tack, crackback block.
Yeah, that was the block.
He had a personal foul penalty as well.
Yeah, I'm glad that the referees didn't have a chance to screw this one up too bad. But
other than the blatant PI. Oh my God, that was bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can understand some of the frustration that Odell Beckham feels. He is being held constantly on the field, and it's really irritating to see that you wouldn't get separation if somebody was tugging at your jersey either, It's really an unfortunate thing, but it's par for the course, I guess, if they don't want you to succeed. The best thing that I can tell you about this football game is that even with a rookie at left tackle and Conklin, one of our free agent prizes, not playing, and back to Hubbard again, This offensive line performed way better than the offensive line did last year. They looked sound. They looked like they were attacking. And the same thing goes with Wyatt Teller. He didn't look good last year. He looked a lot better. The system maybe suits these people better because they were blocking and they were really enthusiastic about what they were doing. And that's something we haven't seen from our running game for a while. And it may have been great effort on the part of Chubb in past, season, but this is different when you're opening holes for people and the running back is following lead blockers. And part of it is Janovich at fullback, who.
I'd also like to credit Bill Callahan too. He seems to have made a big difference too.
Well, that is the greatest piece of the puzzle. Is you start taking a look at his success as an offensive line coach, and it's no surprise. He's been very good every place he's been, and our guys need to be schooled, taught up, and they look like they're performing way, way better. So that's the most – and in the pass protection as well, Baker Mayfield really did not have anybody in his face. Yes, Geno Atkins was down, but – there was really no pressure to bear on Baker Mayfield, and what little there was, he could evade. He did not take a beating in the game, and he didn't have to throw the ball that much. And when they got the ball back and moved right down the field and just ran it down their throat, I think that it makes you realize how valuable it is at the end of football games to be able to consume that much clock and be able to get 7 and not 3. And, at halftime, I was cursing Ricky Parkey. I will continue to. You don't kick a kickoff out of bounds and give the ball to a rookie quarterback at the 40-yard line after you've scored a touchdown. You don't, this is the kind of... He might as well
have kicked it to fucking Wilson and let him run it back to the 40-yard line.
But, why isn't he kicking it out of the end zone like fucking Bullock does? I mean... he doesn't have the requisite leg strength to be in the league. And with the way this is set up, the reason that the return is all but gone in football is because kickers just kick the ball out of the end zone, except this guy. And, we are playing Sendejo as a starting safety. And quite honestly, Sendejo was supposed to be like the captain guy on the special teams. And he's special, all right. He's slow, he's undersized, and he was getting beaten like a rag doll all over the field. Put him back on special teams. But, part of the deal with special teams is the kicker has to do his job. And I think that Parkey failed in that regard, giving up 2 long returns because of short kicks and then kicking 1 out of bounds that took momentum away and gave the Bengals good field position, which they went in and scored. So that's a negative. Our kicking game, I think, will continue to be a negative until we get a professional kicker in here. And who knows how long that might take. As far as from a statistical perspective, if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, and I know what the hype is when you're number 1 quarterback and the defending national champion at that, it comes into the NFL. And I've got nothing against Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is a fine young quarterback. He threw 61 times, and he was not getting great protection, even though we don't have a very good defensive line, to be honest with you. Myles Garrett did get 9 pressures, which is, the most that he's gotten, a tie for the most that he's gotten in a game. Burrow was allowed to come out in the first possession by the defense and dictate what he wanted to do. It's obvious that the Bengals are not going to be able to set up a long passing game, a deep ball game, because the protection's not there. He basically takes 3-step drops, looks at the primary receiver, and throws to him. I learned nothing about Joe Burrow in this game at all. No, and I don't listen to the sound of the noise that's coming from the NFL Network. I know what the rah-rah is, but he never had to look off his primary guy. The only times I saw when he was under pressure, he froze. When there was pressure coming right up the middle, you saw what happened to him. And it's, you know,
Big game by Sheldon Richardson, by the way.
Sheldon Richardson and this guy, what's his name, Gustin? What the hell? I've never heard of this player. I've heard. I don't know. Where did he come from?
He was one of the later free agent signings.
Where did he play?
Oh God!
I say, I don't know this guy. Now he did have a face mask, but didn't help. But he was in the backfield a hell of a lot. I mean, he was in the backfield a lot more than Ogunjobi and other players. I mean, Sheldon Richardson was back there. So the reason people recognize that he had a good game is he was back there. But Gustin
he's a rookie free agent from USC.
I mean, 6 pressures and the plays that he was in on, and he was wreaking havoc in the backfield. And even on the play where he got called for a face mask, he was being held. And he was in the backfield again. So a really good game by Gustin. But the bottom line is that Burrow, in my estimation, played a rookie quarterback game. They kept it simple. They allowed him to do quick drops, quick looks, throw to the first option. I did see some nice throws where he put the ball and threaded it in very nicely. And I saw where he would take off and run the ball. But I have a feeling that if there were more deep plays called, that he would be running more often and taking an even worse beating that he was taking, getting knocked down. I think they said 10 times he was knocked down. And he's not going to be able to hold up if that continues. He does not have a good offensive line, witnessed by only 68 yards rushing by the Cincinnati Bengals, which is really unconscionable if you look at the fact that he's throwing 61 passes.
They also abandoned the run
exactly
quite a bit earlier than expected too.
Yeah, Mixon never got a chance to get his motor running, and I was grateful for that. And the way the Browns have in the past given up yardage to Joe Mixon, you would expected them to have gone to that well earlier and more often.
Yeah, he was averaging, every time I saw him touch the ball, he was averaging 5 to 7 yards.
Yeah, I mean, but it didn't happen. And there were a lot of 5 to 7 yard throws instead. So, I know that they are regaling Joe Burrow as being the next great thing. Maybe so. But I don't think that I would go that far. At this point, I'm not seeing enough to be able to say that. What I'm noticing is exactly what Doggy Bones is saying. The secondary is Scotch tape and paper clips. We look bad, and Rick's pointing out also, 8 penalties for 77 yards.
There are supposed to be 2 guys coming back, the defensive backs coming back, plus possibly Mac Wilson for the Washington game.
You're going to need something because, again, you got Haskins, and he will let the ball go. But the problem is he will make big plays if your secondary is not covering receivers, and we have a problem here, Houston. I mean, Denzel Ward can only be in one place.
He's connecting with Terry McLaurin, who he played with at Ohio State. So
yeah, I mean, not easy. Nothing is easy with what we have in our backfield and defensive backfield, and I'm nervous when I see that Terrence Mitchell has to be the stop guy in a situation. Not, Rick is posting, is it
Burrow stats?
No, that our offensive line is geared more toward run blocking than pass blocking. But I think everybody knew that Jedrick Wills comes in as a really good run blocker. And the question is moving his feet and pass protection and technique, which is something that takes time to develop. He did not have a bad game, but he wasn't going up against anybody either yet. So, you saw what happened when they played a really good team. the first thing people want to say is, oh, have the Browns turned it around? And what we know is they lost to a really super good football team in the Ravens, one of the 2 or 3 best teams easily in the NFL. And they just beat the Cincinnati Bengals, who I think people would agree are one of the 3 to 4 worst teams in the NFL. And we gave up 30 points to them. That's not good. On the offensive side of the ball, I say that we did a great job run blocking. Yeah, that is just not going to cut it. And Joe Woods has to, we're short on personnel. And it was like one of the things that I was saying, and I say it every year, when you go out and say, okay, here's our priorities, we're going to get Conklin on our offensive line, we're going to choose Jedrick Wills in the first round on our offensive line. We already have the running backs in Hunt and Chubb. That's great. We're going to live with what we got because we're paying a huge amount of money to Landry and to Odell Beckham. But we're bringing in a tight end, big time tight end in Hooper. So we're doing all this stuff for our offense, and defensively, nothing. Greedy Williams has turned out to be a bust. Greedy Williams is never healthy. And as long as that's the case, you're not getting a guy who you thought was going to participate in stopping the forward pass. And it's not happening. We are, and nobody wants to hear this, but we are a year or 2 away from becoming what we want to be. That offensive line is going to gel more, but from a defensive perspective, we need better players. It's just that simple. And that only comes from free agency or it comes from the draft. There ain't no way to get more talent in there. And Joe Woods probably shitting himself looking at this saying, well, how in the hell am I supposed to stack a defense when my guys don't run well? If you're forced to start Sendejo, who I call Pindejo, look it up. I just, he's undersized and he's slow. I mean, our defense looks a step slow. Our linebackers are a step slow. I mean, without Schobert out there, we really look bad, And Schobert wasn't the next coming of,
no, but he was like having an assistant coach on the field.
Yeah, but he
was lining people up to actually,
He wasn't Dick Butkus. I mean, but the fact of the matter is, he was athletic and he had some speed. And yes, you're right, he had some smarts. Right now, Takataki, you know what Takataki looks like to me? Remember the electric football games we played?
The Tecmo guy that spins around in circles. I put that yesterday.
Yeah, he's the guy, and the guy with the felt football under his arm runs right by him every time. Yeah. He's just going around like this,
At least Schobert got near the ball, but Taki, I don't know, he is spinning around in those circles. But before we big up this offensive line,
he missed 8 tackles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Before we big up this offensive line any further, we happen to play Chase Young next week. And the Washington football team stopped the Eagles, only let them score 17 points. So if we can actually score more than the Eagles against Washington, then maybe we've got an offensive line. But I wouldn't be saying that we've turned the corner about having a good offense.
No, but the pass rushing tight end becomes no factor if you can consistently run the football. Play action will freeze anybody if you're getting bunches of yards. I mean, when you run over a team for 217 yards or whatever the hell it was, and you do it at will, and they just are powerless to stop you, the
other thing about those yards was the 200 yards was not on massive great chunks. There was no 50-yard chunk. There was no 70-yard chunk. Because the Bengals. Chubb
had a 26-yard run.
26. Yeah, but that's it.
26. Hunt had a 33-yard run.
Yeah, there was no 50-yard, there was no 70-yard, there was no 90-yard.
It looked like an easy 217. After the game, Janovich said we could have run for 300 or more. And I believe that's true. I just don't think that they had anything up front to stop what we were doing. And we just plowed through them.
Let them go through center fielding us. They had like some guy out in the safety that was, back for a long run. So.
And I do believe that, Brian, you bring up a point that the defense was gassed by the middle of the third because they were basically running a hurry-up offense. Cincinnati was just,
Well, and part of it was that. Part of it was the short week and getting their asses run over by the Ravens.
Thank you, Rick. That's what we'll call him, Valet Parky.
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, God only knows.
Brady is lawyer Tillman. No, he's caretaker from fucking Longest Yard.
Yeah, I mean,
It's been blown up by the light bulb.
And and that's what Daniel's saying. Mac Wilson returns to practice next Wednesday, and B.J. Goodson is terrible in coverage. His rating was horrible. We'll go over that in just a minute. But yeah, really not good at all. And thanks, Bronk. I didn't even know that he was on the practice squad. But he's a hard worker. That much we can say. He's a hard worker. But that can be enough in some circumstances.
Dave, it's near the ball. It's going to look good on this defense because you got Taki and a bunch of people running around like headless chickens. So, good.
David Morrison, I couldn't agree with you more. And that's the play call that came from Kevin Stefanski. It seemed really out of the realm. It looks like they were going to try to land a knockout punch, but they already were. It's like a fighter who goes down twice when he gets hit in the body. You don't have to be swinging for his head because the next time you hit him in the body, he's going to fold again. And that's the way it looked to me, is that Cincinnati, the only hope they had was for us to blunder, and that's far less likely to happen in the running game. I sound like fucking Woody Hayes, but that is the truth.
The disturbing thing about that play, in my mind, was the fucking cheap shot that Baker got afterwards. I mean, why wasn't that guy thrown out of the game?
Well, I mean, look, because it's the Browns, but, the play call was mystifying to me, and I don't think, I would understand if you're going to do play action, you're going to throw a ball to a tight end at 2nd and 4, you can get 7 to 8 yards, and you just, you let your running backs rest for a play. I understand that, but that was going for the whole enchilada, and we didn't need to do that. Rashard Higgins, nowhere to be seen for this team, and that's that. I imagine that they feel that Hodge has more downfield speed than Higgins does. That's the only thing I can figure. The numbers on Burrow don't look that bad. And it's a reflection of the fact that he has to throw that many times. That's the problem. If you're not getting the ball yardage on the ground, you better be they were lining up 3, 4, 5 wide receivers at the line of scrimmage, which will tell you that they were just, and he wasn't doing rollout passing. He was in the pocket, dropping back 3 steps and looking over the top and throwing at the guy who was the prescribed first line receiver. But there were a lot of guys out on the pattern. And that's why a lot of teams are going to attack the Browns, because we have no man-to-man coverage. If we force us into some kind of press coverage, we've got a problem on our hands. That's what that's what Aikman said.
The other problem was they were trading field goals for touchdowns. The Browns were scoring touchdowns. They were kicking field goals. So At some point, you got to do something.
which tells us that the defense gets better when there's a shorter field to cover. So that means that we got no linebackers and no defensive backs because we have to let them go all the way down to the 20 or 10-yard line before we have a chance of stopping them. We gave up 5 fourth-down conversions.
Couldn't get them off the field. And
That's unacceptable.
This game should have been over long before, Bronk. Long before it was over.
The fourth-down conversion thing was mind-boggling.
Well, I mean, they just were able to get what they want because we're just not up on the receivers. There's too much of a cushion. We don't have the requisite skill. You know, if Rox were here today, she would say, "What's that love sings with the gas? Greedy is made of glass." Yeah, that's what she would say. Yeah. Here's a good apt comparison. Although we think Greedy can catch the ball, I'm not sure about Lawyer Tillman.
Lawyer Tillman. Best prospect ever.
He was nonstop injured.
Oh God, yeah, he must have 20 injuries.
Yeah, you know.
That's why I said Greedy is more like caretaker.
Well, you know what I'll tell you, Rick, and you bring up a good point, but it's the historical point with Kevin Stefanski. What you saw from Baker Mayfield was a very typical Kirk Cousins kind of game from last year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's controlling the number of throws between the number you have listed here, 25 to 30. It's getting the ball into the end zone and not settling for threes, but using your running games and your tight ends. This is what you're going to see. And it was why I was so perplexed why we came out with all this chicanery in the first week of the season. I could never figure that out. That never made sense.
A totally different offensive scheme this week than the first week looked like Freddie Kitchens. Yeah.
I don't know who is Grant. Oh, Delpit? He may
Grant
never
Delpit.
be. Yeah, he may never be.
He may never come back.
He may be gone for as long as Ulysses S. and Ronnie Spector. He was in for 30 plays, by the way. Ronnie Harrison was in for 30 plays and had the worst rating on the team out on the field. So just saying.
Yeah, but the more that he practices and the more that he understands what these guys are, I think the better he's going to be. He's vastly better than Sendejo.
What does that mean?
That means at least you're gonna play a 3 instead of a 2.
Well, I think we're going to see a lot of bend not break. Old school.
But that's all you have the talent for.
That's all we're going to see.
You're not going to see a lot of turnovers either. When we didn't score in the red zone, I'm shaking my big cow head, and that's when we did get the one turnover that we needed. And again, when Burrow was under pressure, he looked like a different guy, and he flinched. Right now, teams are just getting a first look. When teams get more film on what Cincinnati's doing, it's going to be harder and harder for the Bengals to hide these deficiencies, especially in their offensive line. But yeah, I think we were all a little bit bummed out that we didn't score in the red zone on that play. But
And no. Oh, Rick.
So at any rate, I'm trying to get everyone's comments into the show as well, because I appreciate everybody, helping out with information and thoughts. On the defensive line, if you're looking for PFF rating numbers, I'll just give them to you quick. Myles Garrett at a 90.1, Adrian Claiborne at a 76.5, and he only played 18 snaps.
He got hurt, didn't he?
I don't know. I didn't see him getting carted off. Did he?
No, I think he limped off, but he did. This was after his sack in the first quarter, I think.
All right. Jordan Elliott then at 73.3. Sheldon Richardson at a 68.9. Porter Gustin at a 66.2. Joe Jackson, is she really going out with him? 65.5. Ogunjobi down at a 54.3. He was nowhere to be seen.
Joe Jackson was stepping out.
Yeah, into the night.
Wow. Hilarious.
Hey, I could have gone the other way with the other Joe Jackson punching his kids in the face.
Or she was Joe.
Tay Davis, the linebacker, led the linebacking core with a 60 rating. That'll tell you we got problems. Malcolm Smith with a 58.9, Takitaki with a 53.1, and BJ Goodson, the last one, at a 49.3. Goodson, the problem is that his coverage is just horrible. He was responsible for 7 catches for 55 yards and a touchdown. His run defense at a 44.8 was the worst on the team. Yeah, that is not good. At the cornerback position, Terrence Mitchell at a 76.2 and Denzel Ward at a 76. Then the huge drop-off. MJ Stewart at a 61.4 and Tavier Thomas at a 57.5. It's very difficult when you're working with MJ Stewarts and Tavier Thomases. You're not going to stop people. The safety position is even worse. Carl Joseph was the only one who cracked 60 at a 61. Sendejo at a 56. Ronnie Harrison at a 30. That is just, but he only played in 6 snaps. But the safety position is really your last defense, and it's not a defense at all for this team. So, I've tried to get away from articles that have headlines like, "This was when Odell Beckham started to help the Cleveland Browns win." And it's like, stop it already. Make it stop.
I'm bored with OBJ articles.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not that interesting.
Yeah, I look at what the players saying. Baker Mayfield recognizes, and especially Kevin Stefanski says he's got to protect the ball better. In the offense that we're running, that's what it's all about. You get time of possession, which is really crucial for the Browns. You turn the ball over and give a short field with our defense, it's going to be a touchdown almost every time. We were out first down 30-23 by the fucking Bengals. And even in total yards, 434 for us and 353 for them. There's no reason we should be giving up that much yardage to a rookie quarterback in that scheme. It's no good. This will be the death of the team. I'm trying to find time o possession, and here we go. The Bengals had the ball more often than the Browns, 33 minutes to 26. That can't be the case. If you're running for 219 yards in the game, you cannot be out possession by a team throwing little dink and dunk balls. You should have been able to get them off the field at least 3 times that we didn't. On 3 different possessions, I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, and that would have really, with the way we were running over them, this game really, even if all we did was eat up time and more yardage, and we were going to score 35 points, this game should have been a 35-17 game. There's no reason why it shouldn't have been. We made this close so that they're actually kicking an onside kick with a chance to get the ball back at the end, and that's totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. And that's because you're waiting for the offense. And I was thrilled that the offense lived up to it, man, and blocked. And the offensive line just steamrolled them because that was the way we were going to win the game. What do I think on the overall? Can we beat the Washington Redskins? Let's go there next, I guess.
Well, I don't know.
We really need to see them play Arizona, because I think the Cardinals and the Browns are pretty similar, at least defensively. So we'll see what they do against them.
Yeah. You know something,
So
Rick?
Monday we'll probably have a better idea of where everybody stands.
Yeah, I got my mind set on him, Rick. So I just wanted to pass that along to my buddy.
There's a parody of that song. There was a parody of that song back when it was released, done by one of the local radio stations. That was "I Let My Mom Sit on You."
Oh, nice. Boy, I'll have to look that one up on Facebook or on YouTube. Not really.
I don't know if you'll be able to find it. I mean, it's
The
30-something years old.
look, it's not Haskins is prone to turning the ball over, but you got to be in the same zip code to do it. And and again, I feel much more confident that we at least showed a toughness up front and pushed the other team around. Very often we play down to the level of our competition, and at least from an offensive perspective, we bowled the Bengals over, and we were supposed to when they're missing their best defensive lineman. That's supposed to happen. But you know, you're not going to play teams that bad every week. Now, I think the Redskins are not a great football team, but you can make them into a better football team if you're not defending people. If you're giving 5 to 7 yard cushions, Haskins will look like Johnny Unitas or maybe Tom Brady. We got to stop using the Johnny Unitas thing and start saying Tom Brady, who lost, by the way.
Or Peyton Manning.
No, I won't talk about him. He fucking waves his dick in front of people. I don't give a shit about Peyton Manning. Tom Brady has walked into a death knell.
He's going to get killed, isn't he?
I'm convinced that all of this hype and one man cannot turn around the fortunes of an organization that is lacking. You know, I don't know. I honestly don't know what they have in Tampa Bay defensively that's going to excite the hell out of people. Offensively, we know that they have some good people, but they've never worked
John
together
Lynch
before.
ain't walking through that door, folks.
Well, if the offensive line isn't going to protect Brady, then you right off the bat, he can't escape anybody. And if his arm is diminished, he's not going to beat people outright deep. And if he's unfamiliar with some of the wide receivers that he has, good luck. This is expecting way too much, you know. And yeah, for all the people, and it was funny, I saw that Stephen A. Smith was ripping on Baker Mayfield. Big deal, you beat the Bengals. Yeah, but we were concerned about losing to the Bengals. Exactly. What I saw in Baker Mayfield was a little twinkle in his eye. We came out with our identity, and you could tell from the first possession of the game we were behind, but we ran our offense. There was no panic. You know, everything was precisely done. And the ball was thrown where it needed to be thrown. The high sailing ball was not present. He was throwing the ball on a rope. It looked good. Everything was timed well, and we did what we needed to do. Fans, baby. Yeah. So, you know, and that is, I guess, a more concise way of what I'm saying is that Baker did seem to have conviction. Let's put it that way. I think that, you know, sometimes players look indecisive because they're not sure what they're going to do is going to work. This game, he was stepping into his throws and he was making a decisive read. There was none of that double clutching stuff. He just went with it and seemed to be more in time with the speed of the game. And that's good. And that's got to be the way we make our identity this year is to be able to score some more points to make up for the deficiencies we have. The problem that I see is that you're going to get slaughtered again by the Ravens every time you play them because we don't have the speed to handle their wide receivers, let alone a quarterback if he breaks containment. We just got a real problem with team speed defensively. and I think that Baker Mayfield is an obvious target. And I think if Joe Burrow 2 years from now is just floundering away in Cincinnati, you're going to hear the same thing. That guy was a number one. Yeah, what a waste.
Oh, I think he's got more skill than Andy Dalton and Carson Palmer, though.
Yeah. Oh, look. I mean, for now, it's all good in Cincinnati, but I'm telling you,
Palmer was good until he got his arm hurt, his throwing.
But how long is Joe Burrow going to be healthy playing behind that offensive line? I mean, it isn't just Joe Burrow; it's what you put around him. And his tight end went down for the year. I don't know if you saw, but the guy who went down the field tore an Achilles, and he was the guy who caught their touchdown pass.
Oh, was that Osama bin Laden?
Yeah, the guy's last name begins with a U. I'm not sure who he is. Number 87. Yeah, he's gone for the year with a torn Achilles. The second one in the NFL, Marlon Mack, was the first. And these are the things you see when there isn't much practice time.
Well, let's talk about that because I don't want to see the preseason come back. Fuck the preseason. Do we even really need it? But no one's talking about this on the national media.
Yes, we do, Bronk. Because
why do we need it, Brian? So we can you got
to have the rookies getting fucking game reps. You can't replicate that in a scrimmage. You see what the fuck they look like. Do you want that for the first 4 games of the season every goddamn year? Yeah. I don't.
Yes, Jose. Sorry, I missed that one. Make it 3. Go ahead.
Preseason games are bullshit.
The problem with preseason games, the 4th one doesn't matter. All right. Exactly. I mean, right off the bat, you're hoping not to get injured. The first one doesn't mean a damn thing because your starters are only going to be out there
for 8 minutes
for a series. So realistically, the 3rd game traditionally is the only one that really matters, where they play a whole half. And really what the preseason is, in my estimation, it's for the 53-man roster, the extended, how you're going to put your team and your backups together. I don't see that it affects anything as far as your starters are concerned. Very rarely will somebody make such a huge impression in the preseason that, now maybe in team practice it's different, but in the actual preseason games, nobody's on the field long enough. And I, for one, believe that more damage is done. These soft tissue injuries that happen, that we're seeing some of now in the regular season, they're happening at the half speed and 3/4 speed that are being played in the preseason. I'm actually with Bronk on this. I think
I'm so shocked. I mean, you should be with me on this. It's bullshit. You just explained why it's bullshit.
But again, to me, there is no real. The interest is more what happens in the preseason to publicize the sport and to publicize the season, and it's a big marketing thing for the NFL. Not to have preseason, there are no stories to tell. There's no hard knocks to show. There's none of the marketing devices for the NFL. So I think it's dangerous to players personally, and I think that it doesn't change the depth chart very much. I'll agree with you in one respect that Brian, that the young guys have to get acclimated, but I don't see any acclimation happening in the preseason. It's not just
that; it's showing up to the games. It's the equipment people. It's the coaches. It's everybody. It's getting the sound right, so that you can talk to the coaches in the booth. There's a lot that goes into the whole thing. It's not just, well, we're not going to play anybody. Well, who really cares? Well, God damn it! If you're Porter Gustin and you don't have preseason in 2019, you're not on the fucking practice squad. You're not playing on Thursday Night Football in 2020.
Well, I kind of believe that he stood out more in practice than he did in the preseason because I watched all the preseason games and his fucking name never came up once in my recollection. That is what I remember. I mean, I think it's the daily practice that we don't see and that the press doesn't see. I think it's the effort and the players who are really putting out the full effort in practice. And let's be honest, the best players are not doing, they're trying to do as little as possible to prevent what happens to players like Grant Delpit. You just don't want that happening to star players. So you back off their playing time. And invariably in the first week of the season, especially for a team like the Browns and for a team like the Jets and a team like the Redskins that always seem to have a new head coach, a new concept, a new scheme offensively and defensively, that they suck in the early part of the season because the preseason doesn't. You would think that, well, we got this new system and we've really worked on it hard down only in practice, but in four preseason games, we hit, week one and we're 1-19-1. I mean, we don't win in the first week. And it's because we don't know what the fuck we're doing because we're practicing against our own slow guys and we suck. So I don't get it. I would rather have my ass thrashed 38-6 by the goddamn Ravens and then the team to look at itself in the mirror and say, fuck, we got to play harder than that. Or come out and go, oh, woe is us, we're not ready. And then, just turn your TV off and don't watch them. But at least these guys came out and said, we're going to rough and tough it. And we're going to go out, we're going to maul them on the offensive line. At least they took it to the Cincinnati Bengals. And that first week drubbing didn't go for naught. I don't like it, but it was going to happen come hell or high water. Whether there was a preseason or not, it was going to happen anyway.
Well, if we quickly forgot the Baltimore game, we should also quickly forget this Cincinnati game and concentrate on this game coming up because the Redskins are a totally different team from the freaking Bengals and the freaking Ravens.
Well, 1-1, like I was saying earlier, you played a really great team and you played a really rotten team and you're somewhere in this vast middle and you've got to play clean football, not turn the ball over. If you want to beat teams like the Washington Redskins, you've just got to play good, solid football. It isn't like you have to make hero plays. You've got to play good, solid positional football, not make mistakes, and you've got to stick to your character and really press the advantages that you have on the field. And then let Daniel Snyder do the rest. But 2-1 would mean something big for the organization because and again, we were 2-2 after 4 last year, but it was such a horrible start. And then we got back to 2-2 and then fell behind after that. To gain a little confidence and momentum of playing together will take some of the strain off this. And I was very happy that Stefanski put his mark on the offense of this team. It really looked like his team this week. It didn't last week, but but Thursday, yesterday it did. It looked like he was running the show, and that's what we need. And is it good enough? I tell you this: there ain't no better two deep running backs in the league than what we got. There couldn't be. I mean, Chubb and Hunt. I mean, you dream of that. I mean, God, when Chubb's on the sideline resting and he's watching Kareem Hunt just barrel through people, I mean, it's like, and you can see after the game, the two of them were smiling together. It isn't about how many reps do I get. It's about how effective are we when each of us are out on the field. And this is the first time that we don't see a drop off. The holes are there because the blocking is in front of them. Maybe they approach it differently, they run differently, but the result is the same. And we got 2 first-string guys.
They'll both make each other better by both being, on the field at different times, wearing down the defense. So while one guy's wearing down the defense, the next guy comes in and might get a bigger play. They're both,
And Chubb, the one thing is, he works hard. Chubb is a man. I mean, he just runs over people. He is strong. And, but what we see differently is the gear of these guys is very different. You have Kareem Hunt, who seems to barrel into the line. And then you've got Nick Chubb, who kind of picks his way. Yeah. But he has that step, that hop back step that is just deadly, and he can get up to gear real quick. And if you don't, if you let him hit that gear, he breaks tackles. And God forbid, if you miss and whiff on that, he can outrun everybody on the field. So huge play capability. So, we're on our way to Washington. You're right, Rick. And it's going to be very interesting to see if we can get ahead of the curve and stay with the better teams. I will say something as part of a prediction, and I'll leave it at that today. I watched Pittsburgh play, and I watched them win 26-16 over the Giants. And the Giants and Daniel Jones, not a good football team. All right. Ben Roethlisberger looked rusty. We'd expect him to because he hasn't played in over a year. But every time he got hit, he got up flexing his leg.
Oh, yeah.
And he ain't the same guy.
Did you see on the sideline, he had this weird sock on his arm, too, that they put his arm in. Some weird, it was almost like a cast. He ain't the same guy. He's going to get killed at some point.
And he doesn't break tackles like the Big Ben would shake guys off and make the big play down the field. No, he's not going to break tackles in the backfield. And for the people who, there are some rude Steeler fans who make negative comments about the program here. I'm just looking at it realistically. Ben Roethlisberger is approaching shot. Physically. I'm not saying that he can't make throws. He made a few nice throws in that game, enough to beat a really bad Giants team. But I'll say again, he got hit, and when he got hit, his body doesn't accept the punishment very well. And what I also saw is that he was not able to use his upper body strength to shake off pass rushers, because the bottom part of his body, his legs, look weak to me. And he was demonstrating on the field that he's having something going on with his left knee, that he's flexing quite a bit on the field. So
he had that one touchdown pass where he threw straight off his back leg. Now, nobody throws a ball like that.
Honestly, that was a great throw.
That was a great play.
Boy, what a beautiful throw that was. And look, I it's not, and everybody who watches this show knows that I'm not a Steeler fan, but I recognize talent and good players. And Ben Roethlisberger has been a tremendous player.
Well, the thing about the Steelers was that they ass raped Barkley during that game. And I don't know whether it was because the offensive scheme was shit that the Giants were running, or whether their offensive line was poo, or whether this Dupree and the Pittsburgh line is elite. I have no idea. So we need to see the Steelers play Denver this week to see how good they are.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, if you can get to Roethlisberger, he ain't going to escape you the way he used to. So, and one of the times he's going to go down and not get up. He did not look the same to me.
Looked like Jake Malone out there.
And the running game for Pittsburgh didn't look tremendous to me either. So, I was not overly impressed. At any rate, that's it for the show today. I'm thrilled that we're 1-1, and we got a long week now to prepare and get ourselves ready, get ourselves a little healthier for the Washington Redskins. Thanks everybody for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. As always, we'll be back again on Monday. Of course, we've already kind of done our football game this week, but we'll be right back again on Monday and Friday, and then on Sunday with another halftime and post-game show. And thanks to Bronk and Brian and everybody in the chat room for making this show a pleasure for me to do. I will talk to you on Monday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.